Hey everyone! If you don't know, Dopa is back in Korea on another account playing with all of the pros that are over there boot camping. He's currently at Challenger 350 LP with a crazy 75% win rate. All of the best players in the world are playing in Korea right now, so this is insane. In comparison, Fnatic Caps is at Masters 135 LP with a 54% win rate. Anyways, in this video, we're going to analyze Dopa playing another signature pocket pick of his, Viger vs EDG's Scout playing Irelia. Let's hop into the matchup breakdown. Viger is an AP control mage versus Irelia, a melee AD bruiser. Viger has the range advantage and the wave clear advantage, but Irelia has the damage advantage in burst trades and all-in trades. Viger doesn't do much damage early, and Irelia is honestly just super overpowered right now. Basically, Viger is just supposed to survive this lane, not really win it. But you don't always have to win 1v1 fights to win the lane. So let's see how Dopa does it. Dopa's missions will look like this. Mission 1, let the wave push. If he ever pushes, Irelia will just jump on him and kill him. There really isn't much he can do about it. Also, he's easily ganked if his stun is down. Mission 2, thin the wave. I'm sure you know where this is going by now, but when preparing for a freeze, he's going to make sure the minion wave doesn't get too big. Mission 3, freeze and harass. He wants to freeze the wave outside his tower so he can't be all in, but he also wants to get as much harass as possible so Irelia is gankable. Alright, let's get into the gameplay. Before laning even starts, a fight breaks out in mid with the enemy team flashing on Dopa. He uses both summoners but he gets away. This is a pretty big deal since Irelia will still have her summoners and it's already a pretty difficult matchup. Also, in high elo, the whole game knows your flash is down, so if Dopa pushed the wave, Irelia would freeze and the jungler would come mid to gank. Anyways, let's start laning and see how Dopa gets out of this unfortunate start. As the minions touch, Dopa is starting mission 1 and not autoing anything. He walks up and uses his Q, going through a backline minion hitting Irelia. This is where things get a little tricky. Using his Q on backline doesn't push the wave as hard as using Q on frontline, because if you damage the melee minions, they are the ones being focused. If one of them dies before the other, it makes the wave push a lot faster since there will be less minions doing damage. So I'm not sure if Dopa knew it was going to push to him anyways, but I'm 100% certain he doesn't want to push the wave towards Irelia. Also, I'm really not sure why the minions start randomly changing aggro. Anyways, they both go to collect their last hits, but do you see the difference between them? This seems like something small, but it's actually a big deal when it comes to wave management. Dopa is killing the minions when it has as low health as possible, where Irelia is killing it a little bit earlier. This can make the difference if the wave pushes to you or not. After that, Irelia grabs one more CS with her E, which finishes mission 1 for Dopa as the wave is pushing to him now. Now that the wave is pushing, he wants to be looking to harass when Irelia goes for CS. He gets AP from every spell he hits on a champion, and since he wants to freeze, the lower he can get Irelia, the higher the chance a gank would work out if his jungler comes. So, when Irelia walks up for the CS, Dopa shows us all that even the greatest miss easy skill shots. Whenever doing a strategy like this, when you're letting the lane push, you need to make sure to back up like Dopa is doing now, since the enemy mid will get level 2 first. But the next thing Dopa does is seriously just genius. I've never thought about doing this even though I know to never do it when I'm playing. I never thought about using it against someone. His third minion wave is arriving, so he stands next to a low health minion baiting Irelia in for a trade. Then he puts a stun down on top of himself. Irelia gets stunned and eats a ton of minion damage, dropping to 50% health. And before you say, how do you know that he did that on purpose? Well, Dopa isn't stupid. He knows how strong Irelia is level 2 and he would never be caught off guard like that. Right after he chunks her, his jungler is looking for a gank and jumps in, flashing on Irelia and barely getting the kill. So when people wonder how Dopa gets such insane win rates, these are the plays we're talking about. The only reason they got this kill was because of that bait he did, so now Camille gets first blood on a really snowbally jungle champion. After they kill her, his wave is in kind of a weird spot where he wants to push it in and recall, but it takes him too long. Camille eventually comes and helps him, but Irelia gets back in time to make sure it doesn't crash. What this does is, if Dopa recalls here, the blue minions will kill the red ones and he will lose CS while he's gone. But, since Irelia is taking a lot of damage from tanking the minions, Dopa cancels his recall. He has to be really careful here not to get ganked with the wave this far up, so he leaves vision, which does two things. First, like I said in the Vel'Koz vs TF video, leaving vision discourages the jungler to come to your lane. And second, it makes them think that he left a ward, and if we look at the minimap, Irelia is pinging that Dopa warded over the wall even though he didn't. Now he heads back into lane, playing very cautiously since this is literally the most dangerous place the wave could be in. He's so far away from his tower that Irelia can chunk him, or kill him if his stun is down. So he's just walking up when something gets low and grabbing it with his W or Q. Also, a concept that is very known to higher elo players, when your lane is in a risky spot, or the jungler is near, don't use your escape tool to harass, like Zed's W, Syndra's stunned, and in this case, Viger's cage. Save it in case you get ganked or the enemy laner gets aggressive. The wave should finally start pushing back now because of the even minion rule, so Dopa puts a ward in top brush for some extra safety, then goes back to what he was doing before. Even with how safe he is playing, Irelia gets aggressive and Lee sneaks past the ward and comes up behind him. He dodges the Irelia stun first, then puts his box in the perfect spot, completely zoning them away from him. Lee misses Q, and Dopa escapes without having to use his exhaust. His jungler was already on his way since he was getting ganked, so when she gets there, Dopa steps close to the minions, baiting poor Scout once again into his Camille. Dopa uses exhaust to slow in and make the gank easy. You would think Scout would learn by now that Dopa isn't going to give him openings like that for no reason. Finally, after all of that, he shoves the wave in and recalls. When he gets back to lane, the wave is pushing to him already, so mission 1 is done. He's going to grab a few CS, then clear this ward. He knows he can do it safely because Lee is bot lane right now. They trade a little bit, while Dopa also works on mission 2, thinning the minion wave out. Scout finishes clearing the wave, so Dopa backs up, letting the waves meet in the perfect freezing spot that we normally talk about. After that, Irelia moves topside to destroy Dopa's control ward. Dopa tries to land some harass on her while she's doing it, but he can't do much else since Lee has to be near if she's just now deciding to do this. He goes back to his wave, and sadly, through the minions randomly switching aggro, they run into the tower and break his freeze. Irelia comes back to lane and immediately goes all in, meaning Lee is definitely here. She ults him, then he puts his cage around himself and runs out of it. Then he flashes right before Irelia does, but makes sure he flashes completely diagonal away from her so she isn't in range to use Q. Camille ults her, but then plays kind of scared for whatever reason. Dopa does some big damage with his W, so they try to chase, and he uses his ult on Irelia, but she catches him with her stun and kills him. Camille tries to finish off Irelia, but she gets away with a sliver of health. I'm pretty sure they should have won this fight pretty hard since they were both level 6 and Lee was only level 5. It looked like Camille played too scared after they used all of their abilities on Dopa, but maybe not, it's tough to tell. Anyways, after respawning, the action continues as the enemy team is invading and fighting in Dopa's jungle. So he uses the summoner spellbook to swap to teleport and TPs behind them. Since the enemy team is outnumbered now, Dopa gets an easy double kill. When he gets back to lane, the wave is in a pretty sucky spot again since it's pushing towards Irelia. He clears it quickly so it will crash on the tower, which it does. It will push back now, but he needs to play like he was before as he's vulnerable to ganks again. He's just going to grab CS with his abilities while standing pretty far back in the lane. They spot Gragas in river, so he needs to be even more careful now. He's standing as far away as possible, but making sure to be in range to get experience. While doing that, Grog comes from behind looking to gank. Irelia lands her stun so Dopa exhausts her, then puts his cage in the perfect spot again, giving Grog no way to get onto him. Then, his Rakan comes in for the counter gank, ulting Irelia, setting up Dopa for an easy combo and kill. At this point, the lane is pretty much over, so let's head into the recap. Before the lane started, Dopa lost both summoners from the enemy team trying to cheese him. He survived, but this makes him have to play extra careful in lane. He came back to lane and started mission 1, making sure not to push. They both hit level 2, and Dopa baited Irelia into trading with him into his cannon wave, chunking her really hard, giving Camille great setup for her gank to get first blood. After that, he tried to push in the wave to recall, but couldn't do it in time as Irelia caught the wave and froze. But since she took a lot of damage from the minions, and because Dopa didn't want to lose CS from recalling, he cancelled his recall. He stayed in lane playing super safe until the wave eventually pushed back to him. As it was pushing back, Lee came from behind for a gank, but through really nice box placement he avoided it. Then, Dopa baited Scout into jumping onto him since Camille was looking to gank, giving them an easy kill. He finally got to recall, and when he came back to lane, the wave was already pushing to him, and he repeated his missions to freeze. Irelia went to clear pink, which gave away that Lee was near. Right after she cleared the pink, she came into lane and got aggressive. A 2v2 broke out where Dopa dies and Irelia lives with a sliver of health. As soon as he respawned, he TP'd to help a jungle fight to get an easy double kill. Then when he got back to lane, he quickly bounced the wave off the tower to set up his freeze again. He played cautiously for a while until Gragas tried to roam up and gank him, but he used his box perfectly once again, surviving the gank. Then his own support Rakan showed up, ulted Irelia, and Dopa finished her off, closing the lane out. That's going to be it for this one. Thanks for watching.